Okay, lesson one is a fairly simple lesson to get into the swing of things. We've got some shapes you've come across before, and we're just learning to recognise some of those. So a parallelogram it's like a rectangle that's been pushed aside. So imagine you had a rectangle, and imagine you pushed it over. You'd end up with this shape here, and importantly, that pair of sides is parallel to each other, and so is that side, that pair of sides there. Now a rhombus is like a square that's been pushed over. So as well as the sides being parallel, they're also all the same length. Okay, so just be careful. Sometimes you need to know the difference between a rhombus and a parallelogram. A trapezium is a shape where you've got one pair of sides which are parallel to the other, and the other two sides normally aren't, but they can be. It'd still be a trapezium, but if that pair of sides was also parallel, it would be a parallelogram. You've got a kite where you've got a pair of adjacent sides the same length and another pair of adjacent sides the same length. An equilateral triangle has all three sides the same length. A regular pentagon, so pent means 5 sides, so it's got 5 sides all the same length. A regular hexagon has got 6 sides the same length. An octagon has got 8 sides the same length there. And obviously, a circle there. With a circle, you've either got a diameter, which goes all the way across the circle, or you've just got something that comes halfway, which is, so that's the radius, the one that goes halfway, or the full length is the diameter. Okay, the first one, name this solid, select a name from the list in question 1. So this is the list from question 1. Okay, so you can see it's all coming to a point. So it's some sort of pyramid. So it's either a square pyramid, a rectangular pyramid, or I guess it could be none of the above. Now looking at this base here, it's not drawn very well. I'd presume that those two are the same length and those two are the same length. So I'd presume it's a rectangular pyramid there. That would be my best guess there. But again, without a bit more information, it's a bit hard to tell. Okay, now in your handout you should have a list of all the different possible solids here. I printed this out before I added that in. Okay, so we've got cans of drinks. What's the name, mathematically the name of the solid shown? Well, they're cylinders there, which is pretty simple. Okay, so as I said, a fairly simple set of exercises to get you settled into the new version of at-home learning. So if you have a look at the handout, which you can either print out or you can do digitally, or you can go to the school office and pick up a copy of it, there are 3 pages of exercises. I've eventually got it out in lesson 1. Now what I'm going to be doing on this YouTube video is I'm now going to be going through and answering all of the questions that you need to do. So if you get stuck on any of the exercises, go to the YouTube video, find the solution as I talk through what I've done there. Okay, what we need to do in this first page is simply have a look at each shape and find its name on the list up there. Now here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, so it's a pentagon. Because they're all the same length, it's a regular pentagon, and that's the letter I. Here we've got a triangle. We're not getting any more information. Look, those 2 sides are probably the same length. So we're looking for triangle or isosceles triangle, so it can certainly be part A. There's no isosceles triangle there, so A is the best answer. For part C, we'll assume that all 4 sides are the same length. So we've got there is a square, which is B. Here we've got, again, we'll presume that all of those side lengths are the same. So we've got a square that's been pushed aside, which is a rhombus, which is part E. Okay, for question E, again, we're going to presume that those 2 sides are parallel and those 2 aren't, in which case we've got a trapezium, which is F. In part F, we've got 8 sides the same. An octopus has got 8 arms. That's a way to remember that we're looking for an octagon. It's called a regular octagon because all of the sides and angles are the same. Part G, we've just got a circle, which is L. H, we've got a rectangle, which is C. Part I, all of these 3 sides are the same length, so we've got an equilateral triangle, which is H. Part J, we've got a kite, which is G. Then we've got a parallelogram there, because those two pairs of sides are parallel. Again, you can think of that as a rectangle that's been pushed aside. So parallelogram is D. Then we've got 6 equal sides, which is a regular hexagon, which is J. Okay, we need to this time label a mixture of solids and 2D shapes. So here again we've got an isosceles triangle there, because 2 sides are the same length. We're not given a choice of isosceles triangle, so we just need to use triangle there. Here we've got a cylinder, which is G. We've got a cone, which is K. We've got a rectangular prism. Make sure you choose rectangular prism, not rectangular pyramid. This shape here, it doesn't have any standard name, so it's going to be none of the above. Part F, so we've got a square, which is B. G, we've got a sphere. See, it's shaded to make it distinct from a circle. So that's a sphere, which is H. We've got a rectangle, which is A. Okay, we've got a pyramid here, and the base, look, it's probably a square. So I'm going to look for square pyramid, which is J. Here we've got a prism, because it stays the same all the way through, and the cross section is a triangle, so it's a triangular prism, which is F. Here we've got look, it could be a cube, it could be a rectangular prism, could be a square prism, but let's go with cube there, which is D. And we've got another cone, which again is K. Okay, we're now going to match some real-world shapes to their mathematical name. So a tennis ball is a sphere, so that's going to be H. A page in this book, so, well, obviously we don't have a book here, but the page itself is a rectangle, which is A. A box of cornflakes. Now, that's going to be a rectangular prism, and most boxes are going to be rectangular prisms, and a lot of things in our homes and our workplaces are, because rectangular prisms are just easy to make. That's why they're so common. Okay, part D, a tin of peaches, so any sort of tin is going to be a cylinder, which is G. A filing cabinet, not that we have too many of them around these days, but again, just like a box of cornflakes, they're going to be a rectangular prism, and a box of matches will also be a rectangular prism. A soccer ball, again, like all balls, they're going to be a sphere, which is H. Now, a 2-person tent, back in the old days, the tents sort of look like that, in which case you'd say that's going to be a triangular prism, so F. Look, they're different, so you can sort of get pyramid-style tents, and sometimes you see them camping. So, you know, maybe I. A lot of those dome tents, they're not sort of really listed as any of those shapes here, so we won't include those. Again, a briefcase, most briefcases, again, are going to be a rectangular prism, and for some reason they've doubled up the question there, so a soccer ball is also H. Okay, that's the end of today's lesson, so a nice simple one to get you started.